key words or key themed concepts, not as labels for observations as much as the catalysts and reminders for understandings internalized. If I have Mercury opposing Neptune, I have the symbol Mercury, which is the symbol of the mental process and many other things, in a very developmentally tense relationship with the planet Neptune, which suggests things not immediately what one thinks, spiritual things, sensitive things, etc. I'm being very careful with the beginning level here not to throw too many key words of powerful importance out. But if the two are in awareness of each other, a beginning astrologer learns from this very simple aspect to say, aha, daydreaming. A marvelous key word for Mercury in an aspect relationship with Neptune. Now, daydreaming, fine. You can also learn that Saturn in the fourth cusp can suggest you like antiques. I mean, the stupidity of using the important key words and meaning suggestions as final bottom line value statements, it's obvious. But what if that triggers me to say, what are you daydreaming about, usually? I can start a beautiful conversation and get into some substance. Am I clear? It's so simple. Francis Bacon said, one half of wisdom is the prudent question. I would love to ask at the right time in an astrological consultation. The horoscope suggests that there's a lot of daydreaming important to you in your life. Before you get the words out, their client will be agreeing. I'd like to ask you, what do you think you daydream about? Maybe there's something of value here. In other words, you learn that it's a defense mechanism. Anytime we go off like that, it's to help us gather our resources to reinterpret what's going on, etc. Don't want to go too far into that. The world of meanings put on us by astrology are extraordinarily rigid. You take Mars, for instance. Aggression. The way I said it, it's something to fear, isn't it? But if I were to have a heart attack here, I would hope a doctor would have a vial of adrenaline handy and come in and put it into my heart and get me going again to life. Aggression is essential. It's the person who finds great difficulty in expressing aggression who says, you should not be aggressive. I do not have any aggressive friends. I don't put a good value on aggression. That's why I write astrology books, and that's why I was born at the turn of the century in England, and that's why I say it's a negative thing, and that's why I've joined a church of meek people. Don't you love it? Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Send these the tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp at the golden door. We're going to celebrate that next weekend. I mean, I requested through the Statue of Liberty all the bums of the world. I want some, give me the aggressive pioneer types. The ones that, well, thank God they did come. They didn't read French. So you see, it's how you use aggression, students. It's how you use it that puts a value judgment on it. Not that it's there. You've got to have that energy or you can't stand up. Newton's second law says for every force, there's an equal and opposing force. Equal and opposing. I can go like this to that wall, and I know it's going to hit me back the same way I hit it, and somehow there's an equality there and I don't hurt myself. If I weren't prepared, if I just put my hand out like this and ran my fingers into the wall, I'd be severely discomfited and hurt. Making sense? All right. Saturn. Control. Last night in our skit, you saw Miss Control come up. A witch, you know, all of this stuff. That's fine. That's fine for entertainment. It's a key word that's important. But can you do without it? What values are you going to give the concept of control? What if I say necessary control? If I put the word necessary in, all of a sudden, it makes it all right. Can a river do any good without the control of its banks? No. Can you do anything right for your mother without her control? You'll burn your hand on her iron unless you obey the no-no. And look what the ultimate control that is necessary in our society. Beyond the law, it's do this in remembrance of me. So these controls are essential. The control of my being here is my spine. And perhaps my arms outreach are the horizon, and my embrace reaches to my midheaven as I reach for the sun. I mean, these are the images that should guide us into our toolbox of astrology. Astrology can use all of these concepts so beautifully. It is astrologers who don't use them well sometimes. You take Jupiter, excessive, wonderful, bountiful, grand. Well, what's too much sugar do to your system? What's too much money do to your motivation? Excesses are not necessarily the best things in the world. I remember distinctly being told a profound statement by a Hungarian astrologer in my very first weeks of inquiry through reading books. I wanted everything to be a trine. I wanted 75,000 grand trines in my horoscope, you know? Isn't it wonderful to know how important squares are? All of those beautifully developmentally tense things. This is why we need hard rocks in the soil so that the roots of trees can press against them and grow tall. This man said to me, "You know, Noel, you must remember one thing." They all spoke like Dracula in the old days. He says, what you have to remember is that it's not a lack of something that is a problem. It's too much. Ponder that. Do you realize how much food we need to stay alive and how much we eat? I mean, the two most important things in my life are the music of Handel, gin and tonics. But how much do I need to survive? You know, you have to think about this, and this helps you gain the necessary controls with a little humor. You don't have to wait for your doctor to say, "Hey, you got 47% alcohol in your bloodstream," or, you know, you're 3,700 pounds overweight. You can bring the control in if you make it a reasonable, necessary thing to your livelihood. And that's what we do with the troubles and difficulties and pressures we assimilate from our environment. This is how we guide clients eventually when you're doing that. Uranus is the planet of intensity, for the lack of a need for more words on that right now. Disruption, perhaps. Catalyst. Well, what is the difference? Disruption? Blah, blah, blah. Catalyst? Is that negative and positive, respectively? I don't know. It's how the person is living that principle in his life, not what the astrologer needs to editorialize with. We see our world through ourselves, our perceptions. And when I follow that up by a statement that I think you'll enjoy, it is, no event has any value until we give it value, we see that all these values in our lives come from our giving those values